They heard me say it. I said that. If I was on there, I said that.
Turn around, please. You did not.
Shakana, you stopped them and I said the same. You asked me, do you think I'm happier that you asked me the question and I answered it? So why would you sit there and say that?
Because I am happy.
But why would you sit there and say that I ain't say that?
You did.
I said she's happy. Yes, I did.
It wasn't loud and clear.
Tammy. Yeah? Tell me what's going on out there. What's going on?
King Harris always said he stood on business, but the truth hit different once those prison doors slammed shut. Behind those cold walls, the fame, money, and family name meant nothing. Reality hit hard. The streets don't respect privilege, and they don't care who your father is. Word spread fast that the young Prince of Trap wasn't built for the life he had bragged about. According to an Atlanta gang figure, King looked lost, nervous, and completely out of his element. That tough guy image he flaunted online vanished the second the cameras disappeared. Now, the same people who once hyped him up were laughing, calling him soft, saying the streets finally exposed him. It all started from a simple traffic stop that spiraled into chaos. King got pulled over in his flashy BMW, acting calm at first, until cops ran his name and found a warrant. Moments later, he was on the ground in handcuffs, the scent of weed in the air, flashing lights all around. For the first time, the internet tough talk met real-world consequences. This wasn't Instagram Live. This was humiliation. Even though he tried to play it cool, that calm cracked the second he stepped inside those steel gates. Whispers started that King was terrified, and soon, a gang leader revealed what really happened, and it was worse than anyone thought. He claimed King folded under pressure, losing his composure completely when tested. Inside the prison walls, that rumor spread like wildfire, turning him into a punchline instead of a legend. The truth is, King never had to live this life. He was born into luxury, big houses, security, fame. But still, he chased chaos, desperate to prove he was a real one. Even T.I. admitted he couldn't understand why his son wanted to be from the streets so bad. The same streets he fought his whole life to escape. On camera, King barked about respect, screamed about being disrespected, and clashed publicly with his own father. That viral argument said it all. This wasn't confidence, it was pain wrapped in ego. T.I. looked less angry than heartbroken, watching his son fight to be something he didn't need to be. Inside those walls, there's no PR team, no followers, no flashy chains. Just survival. Respect isn't handed out. You earn it, or you get crushed. And according to people inside, King quickly realized the difference between pretending to be tough and actually living it. His confidence shattered, and what was left was fear and confusion. Even Tiny, his mother, once hinted online that King wasn't as grounded as he tried to appear, exposing cracks that had been forming long before the arrest. At its core, this isn't just King's story. It's a reflection of a culture that rewards chaos. Social media turned his rebellion into entertainment, making him believe the noise meant power. Blogs and fans hyped every mistake, every fight, until the line between fame and self-destruction disappeared. And when he finally landed behind bars, none of that attention mattered. All those viral moments didn't buy him a shred of respect inside. Now, King Harris sits at a crossroads, stripped of the spotlight, his father's shadow looming larger than ever. The streets he wanted to impress are laughing. The people he wanted validation from have moved on. And what's left is a young man forced to face the truth. Standing on business isn't about words, it's about survival, humility, and knowing who you really are when nobody's watching. When those cell doors slammed shut and the spotlight disappeared, everything about King Harris changed. The loud confidence, the tough talk, it all vanished. The same young man who demanded respect online couldn't even make eye contact with another inmate. Inside, no one cares about followers or fame, only fear. And that's exactly what made the gang leader's words sting so deeply. He didn't just call King out, he tore down the image King had spent years building. According to insiders, King wasn't respected or feared, he was scared. And in prison, fear is like blood in the water. Once people sense it, they come for you. What made it worse was the humiliation that followed. Imagine spending years pretending to be a lion, only to freeze when you finally face the real jungle. That kind of shock doesn't just hurt your pride, it destroys your credibility. And for King, credibility was all he had left. When that crumbled, so did everything he'd built online. But his downfall didn't happen overnight. It started the moment he walked through those gates with his chest out, thinking his last name made him untouchable. Some inmates watched quietly, curious if he'd try to prove himself. But the second they realized nobody cared who his dad was, the energy shifted. King's confidence faded fast, replaced with anxiety that everyone could feel. Then came the moment that changed everything. According to the gang leader, King got tested early. No warnings, no build-up. Just a hard shoulder bump in the hallway and a cold challenge. You stand on business, right? Let's see it. But instead of standing tall, King froze. That single moment of hesitation was all it took. In prison, fear spreads faster than fire, and word got around quick. By the end of the day, the Trap Prince was no longer feared. He was mocked. Inmates started mimicking his voice, reenacting his reaction, turning his "I stand on business" slogan into a cruel joke. And that's what made the gang leader's story explode online. It wasn't about paperwork or charges, it was about heart. The kind of heart you can't fake. The man said King tried to talk his way out, even name-dropping his father, hoping it would help. But that was his biggest mistake. In prison, status means nothing. Mentioning privilege just gets you clowned harder. Within hours, King went from being a celebrity's son to being the punchline of the block. That story didn't stay locked inside either. It spread through calls, gossip blogs, and social media until it became a full-blown circus. By the time the gang leader publicly spoke out, the internet was already feasting on the story. Old clips of King yelling at his dad or shouting "I stand on business" were turned into memes. His own words became weapons against him. The fans laughed, the streets mocked him, and the silence from his inner circle made it worse. But behind all the noise, one truth stood out. The same fame that built King's confidence destroyed it when reality hit. And that's the harsh lesson here. In the real world, image means nothing when you can't live up to it. Inside those prison walls, there's no fame, no special treatment, and no last name that can protect you. For the man who exposed T.I.'s son, humiliating King Harris was about power, real power. In that harsh world, making the Trap Prince look weak earned more respect than any act of violence ever could. But for King, that moment turned from a scandal into a tragedy. Imagine being just 20 years old, carrying the weight of a legendary father's shadow, desperate to prove you're your own man, and then having your lowest moment broadcast to the entire world. How do you recover from that? You don't. Not easily. Because every move you make after that is tainted by the memory of that embarrassment. If King tries to act tough online now, people will laugh. If he drops a song, the comments will remind him of the day he froze. His every post becomes a reminder of that moment. And the cruel reality is that no one remembers redemption, only the first fall. That's the image that sticks, the one that defines you. For King, that label of weakness is now attached to his name everywhere he goes. Once the world laughs at you, getting them to take you seriously again is nearly impossible. His reputation cracked. And in this business, cracks don't heal. The moment that gang leader spoke out, King's fate was sealed. What made it worse was how perfectly the story fit the narrative people already believed. T.I. himself had warned that his son was chasing a lifestyle he didn't understand. His mom had said he lacked sense. The emotional outbursts on live, the arguments about respect, it all painted the picture of a kid trying too hard to be something he wasn't. So when the story came out that King froze in jail, no one questioned it. It didn't sound fake. It sounded like confirmation. The streets believed it instantly. It matched the image King had created with his own actions. Then the story exploded. What started as prison gossip became the talk of Atlanta. Blogs jumped on it, and soon it was everywhere. Memes, jokes, reaction videos, the internet went wild. Old clips of King shouting "I stand on business" were edited into mocking videos. TikToks turned his slogan into a punchline. One viral clip even showed him yelling at his dad, followed by a laugh track and the caption "But not in prison." The internet can be cruel, but this time it felt personal. People had been waiting for proof that King wasn't as tough as he claimed, and now they had it. But the fallout didn't stop with King. The backlash hit the entire Harris family. T.I., the rap legend known for preaching discipline and growth, suddenly found himself being dragged for not controlling his own son. Fans mocked him, saying the same man who spoke about evolution and maturity couldn't guide his own household. It was painful irony. The arguments, the Instagram lives, the disrespect, all of it was already public, and now this scandal made T.I. look powerless. The story wasn't just about a young man's humiliation behind bars. It became a mirror of fame, family, and failure. The world saw a father who had built an empire, mentored others, and spoken about growth, now forced to watch his own son become a cautionary tale. The same cameras that once celebrated their family now recorded their downfall. And for millions watching, it wasn't just gossip, it was a harsh reminder of how quickly success can turn into shame when pride replaces wisdom. Even if King walked free tomorrow, that story would follow him forever. In Atlanta's culture, credibility is everything. And once it's gone for good. His father's image took a hit too. T.I. spent years building a legacy of strength and redemption, but now the world sees his son as a cautionary tale. The saddest part is that it all could have been avoided if someone had convinced King that authenticity isn't about pretending to struggle, it's about being real. Instead, he chased an identity he never lived, trying to prove he was street when he wasn't. Now, King is trapped, not by prison walls, but by perception. Every move he makes will be questioned. If he talks tough, people will say he's faking it. If he stays quiet, they'll call him scared. No matter what he does, the shadow of that moment follows him. The truth is, this is a prison he can't escape, the one built from humiliation and public opinion. Maybe there's still a way out. If he owns his truth, lets go of the act, and rebuilds from honesty. But history shows that once the streets stop believing you, fame means nothing. The cameras fade, the followers move on, and your name becomes a punchline. Unless King Harris changes course fast, he won't be remembered as the Prince of Trap, but as the kid who tried to stand on business until the business stood on him.